Connie's core was got it. Her core philosophy is that a healthy relationship with food, our body, and our mind is the way to physical and emotional well-being. She possesses over 10 years of experience designing and implementing nutrition and health education programs. Connie has helped her clients of all ages with diverse cultural backgrounds achieve optimal health through personalized approaches. She has conducted numerous group education workshops, community kitchens, diabetics support groups, cooking classes, and drop-in programs to address various nutritious needs, including diabetics management, weight management, heart health, children's nutrition, and etc. In addition, Courtney also is an author of Diabetics Eating Wisdom, the Chinese recipe, and healthy health tips. She is currently regulated as registered dietitians by the College of Dietitians of Ontario. Connie is working as a freelance speaker and instructor of nutrition education workshop online cooking classes. So please help me join me welcome Connie. And if you have any questions before or during the workshop, you can either raise your hand or type in the chat box will be great. Or if it's if we missed your questions, you can just unmute yourself and raise the questions if it's important at that moment. We will take our time to answer your questions as frequent as possible. Okay. Connie, please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for having me here today. We're going to look at the relationship between diet and mental health. It's been almost 2 years since we had this pandemic, and I know many of us are facing challenges that can be stressful and overwhelming, whether it be financial or emotional pressure. So taking care of our physical and mental health during this special time is especially important. And I hope that you will get some inspiration from today's workshop, supporting mental health through diet during the pandemic. Let me share my screen. Okay, so after today's workshop, you will be able to do the following. Increase awareness of what kind of food and eating habits can help improve your mental health. Describe the tips and steps of mindful eating. Also develop positive and mindful attitude towards eating. Before I go into the content of the workshop, I have a poll question here. In pre-COVID-19 times, 7% of Canadians aged 18 or older had depression. What was the new recorded percentage in fall 2020 during the pandemic? A, 10%, B, 16%, and C, 24%. Please enter your answers now.
Can you see the poll, Connie?
Me? No.
No? Okay. Maybe I can read it out.
Oh, okay.
Or yeah. So the majority of the people think answers 24. Only 6 people think is B. 16%. The majority is 24% C.
Okay, so the answer is B, 16%. So as you can see in the poll question, the percentage of depression has more than doubled. From another self-survey, people screened positive with symptoms of depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder has jumped from 1 in 5 people in fall 2020 to 1 in 4 people in spring 2021. So you can see that the percentage of depression has jumped from 7% from pre-COVID times to 16%. So that's more than double during the pandemic. So a more recent survey shows it even increased more right now, or even in spring 2021. So from these numbers, we can see the mental health consequences of COVID-19, and therefore supporting our mental health is really, really important, especially during the pandemic. Okay. I have another poll question here. Poll question number 2. A diet high in sugar can boost your mood. A, true. B, false. Please enter your answers.
Sorry, I don't. Did you set up the poll, or we answer in the chat?
I think Maria has set up the poll.
Okay, we have a little bit of difficulty, so maybe we'll do the chat. I'll keep track on. Okay. Oh, now she got it. Awesome. Thank you. Let's submit that. It's easier for me to track your answer if you do the poll. Okay. Thank you so much for your participation.
So Emily, can you tell me the result of the poll?
Absolutely. So we got 38% think it's true, and 62% thinks it's false.
Okay, so the majority of people got it right. The answer is B, false, because a diet high in sugar can actually deflate your mood. Okay, so let's talk about eating habits. Okay, so the very first thing each day, you want to include a balanced breakfast. What does that mean? What does balance mean? Balanced breakfast means that you need to include the following components: lots of fiber, some lean protein, some good unsaturated fats, and whole grains. So here I have listed some examples of foods belonging to each category. Foods with lots of fiber: tomatoes, avocado, beans, all vegetables and fruits. The reason why we need lots of fiber is because fiber can help us to prevent constipation and keep us feel fuller longer. That's why it's really important to include fiber in our diet. Protein, egg, tofu, beans, nuts and seeds, nut butters. Nut butters can be any kind of nut butters like almond butter, peanut butter, hazelnut butter, any kind of nut butter will be high in protein. and pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, Greek yogurt, tuna, salmon, lean chicken, or meat. So it's important to include protein in our diet because we use protein to repair muscles and bones, as well as making enzymes and hormones in our body. In addition, protein can also decrease our secretion of hunger hormones, so we will feel fuller longer. We don't need as much food if we include protein in our diet. All right, so then the next component is good fats. Good fats examples include oil, margarine with zero trans fats, avocado, nut butter, nuts, and seeds. Good fats keep our heart healthy and also keep us feel fuller longer. The last component is whole grains. Whole grain examples include whole grain products like whole grain bread, whole grain wraps, oatmeal, oat bran. So these are just a few examples. And whole grains are healthier than refined grains, like the white version of grain, like rice, white rice, or white bread, or white pasta. So these are some refined grains. Whole grains are healthier because they contain more fiber, minerals, and vitamins. Okay, so for pandemic, we want to minimize the number of grocery shopping trips that we make in order to get all we need, right? So my tip for you is to plan your meals carefully ahead of time and write down your shopping list and have it ready whenever you go grocery shopping, so you won't miss buying whatever you really need for the week. All right, so that's healthy eating habits. Eat a balanced breakfast every morning. Here I have some balanced breakfast ideas for you to use as reference. The first example is fruit and nut smoothie. And in just a little bit, I will have a cooking demonstration for you to see, or demonstrating how to make this fruit and nut smoothie. So I'll talk more about this later on. Peanut butter and banana oatmeal or oat bran. So many people are familiar with cooking oatmeal, but some of you may not be familiar with cooking oat bran. Oat bran is actually, you can buy like a package like this, and then it's actually the outer layer of oats. And it actually contains more fiber, more minerals and vitamins compared to oats. So when you cook oat bran, it's also very easy. You just mix it with water like cooking oatmeal, and you cook it on the stove in a saucepan for 3 minutes, and then you cover it with a lid and let it stand for 2 minutes. And then it'll be ready for you to enjoy. And here in this examples here, I also added peanut butter and also bananas, right? So you get lots of fiber as well as protein. The third example here, beef or chicken or tofu, vegetables. So this is a Vietnamese dish, and usually white vermicelli is used. So to make this dish even healthier, you want to use whole grain noodles like brown rice noodle or whole grain spaghetti or angel hair to replace the white vermicelli. Okay, last but not least, canned light tuna or salmon, avocado, tomato on whole grain toast. So here I have also included all the components to make a balanced breakfast. The second tip for healthy eating habits is to eat balanced meals in appropriate intervals. Before I talk about why this is so important, I would like to introduce you to a term, carbohydrates. So carbohydrate sounds very complicated, but actually it's very simple. It means sugars in foods or food sugars. So what kind of food contain carbohydrates? Basically, there are two types of foods, starchy foods and sweet foods. Starchy foods include anything that is made from grain or flour. So rice, pasta, noodles, they are all starchy foods. In addition, starchy vegetables as well. like potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams. These are all starchy vegetables and they all contain carbohydrates. The second type of food that contain carbohydrates is sweet foods. Sweet foods, any type of sweet foods contain carbohydrates, like desserts, because when you make your desserts, you add sugar to it, or sweetened drinks, because people add the sugar to the drinks. In addition, fruits contain natural sugar called fructose and glucose, and milk, although it doesn't taste very sweet, but it does contain natural sugar called lactose. So these foods all contain carbohydrates, starchy foods, and sweet foods. So when we eat foods that contain carbohydrates, what will happen is our body will digest the carbohydrates, the food sugars, and turn it into glucose, another type of sugar. So what happens is we digest the food, it turns into glucose, a type of sugar, and then our blood will absorb the glucose. So what happens is your blood sugar will go up like this. And then when our body senses the increase of blood sugar, we will secrete a hormone called insulin. The insulin will open up the cell doors. Suppose my fist is a cell. If there is enough insulin and if your insulin is working properly, then the doors will open like this. So the sugar in the blood can go into the cell for us to use as energy. So what happens is you eat something with carbohydrates, the sugar go up, insulin work to open the cell doors, the sugar go into the cell, and then your blood sugar will come down. So, so that's what happens. You eat something with carbohydrate, go up, comes down, and then the second time you eat, it goes up again. So what we want to achieve is to maintain a stable blood sugar throughout the day. That's why we need to space our meals in appropriate intervals, not too close together and not too far apart. That's how we want to keep our blood sugar stable. We want to absorb the sugar in the food more slowly. That's why we need to balance our meals, include whole grains, lean protein, vegetables and fruits, and good fats at each meal to make it a balanced meal each time. So if our blood sugar is stabilized, then that can improve our mood with better memory, more energy, and feeling of calmness. So I've talked about healthy eating habits that can boost our mood. Now I'm going to move to talking about mood deflating eating habits. So these are the things we want to try to stay away from. Number one, restrictive diet. Restricting your food intake drastically or skipping meals can actually lower your blood sugar, which can lead to headaches, lack of concentration, mood swing, and irritability. So this is something we want to stay away from. So even if you're very busy, make sure you take some time to eat your meals. Number two, cutting out carbohydrates. Eating too few carbohydrates can actually cause low blood sugar, fatigue, and reduce the amount of happy hormones that your brain produces, and reduce the desire to exercise. As everybody may already know, exercise itself can boost our mood. So this is kind of like a lose-lose situation here. It decreases your happy hormones as well as you decrease your desire to exercise. So you want to stay away from these. Okay, number three, mood deflating eating habits is eating too much sugar. Why is eating too much sugar not good for our mood? Because consuming a diet high in sugar is actually will increase the chances of mood disorders. So what can we do? I have some tips here. Bear in mind that added sugar are already in many food products. So other than the sugar that you add to your own food, like adding, for example, adding sugar to your coffee or tea, there are many packaged items that has already have added sugar in it. So my tips for you is to limit sweetened drinks, baked goods, candies, chocolates, ice cream, etc. If you eat cereal for breakfast, eat a lower sugar cereal. And what you can do is to read the ingredient list on packaged foods to identify added sugars. So these terms that I'm going to tell you, it means sugar: glucose, fructose, sucrose, honey, evaporated cane juice, molasses, corn syrup, and dextrose. So these also mean sugar. So what you can do also is when you buy a packaged item, you can check out the nutrition label. Underneath the nutrition facts table, it will list the ingredients. The ingredient list, they are listed, the ingredients are listed in descending order. That means the ingredient that weighs the most is listed first, and the ingredient that weighs the least is listed last. So if you see that the terms for sugar that meant sugar above is listed as the first few ingredients, you know that that product must contain a lot of sugar. So how much sugar is too much? There are two guidelines for added sugars. One from Heart and Stroke Foundation, Canada, the other one from American Heart Association. And I found that the American Heart Association guideline is easier to use because it doesn't involve any calculation. So let's look at the guideline. Up to 6 teaspoons for children, 2 to 18, 6 teaspoons for women, 18 plus, 9 teaspoons for men, 18 plus. So that's the maximum amount recommended for one day. So you can get an idea of your sugar consumption and the guideline. So just to give you an idea, a can of pop, right here, if I read the nutrition label, it says under carbohydrate and the subcategory sugar, 39 grams. So 1 teaspoon, like a regular measuring spoon, it's about 5 grams. So 39 grams is about 8 teaspoons of sugar. So when you drink 1 can of pop here, you are consuming 8 teaspoons of sugar, just to give you an idea. Number 4, excessive caffeine consumption. Caffeine is a very interesting substance because it has some antidepressant effect to most people. But for some people, they react to caffeine differently. Caffeine may prevent them from getting a good night of sleep, or they may give them symptoms like shakiness, irritability, or feeling anxious. So if you have these symptoms, these negative symptoms, you can think about the amount you're having, like the dose, and also the time you're taking caffeine. If after taking coffee, for example, it's preventing you from getting a good night of sleep, then think about drinking coffee earlier instead of closer to your bedtime. And if caffeine is giving you negative symptoms, consider either decreasing the dose or avoiding it. But here I have a guideline from Health Canada. It recommends that healthy adults limit their caffeine intake to no more than 400 mg per day. And on the right side, I have a table. I summarized some common beverages that you can buy or make. So Tim Hortons medium coffee, that's 2 cups, 16 ounce. So 1 measuring cup, if you fill the liquid to the 1 cup line, it's about 250 ml. And 16 ounce is 2 of these, 2 cups. So a medium-sized Tim Hortons coffee contains 2 cups of coffee there. 205 mg of caffeine. Starbucks Grande coffee, 16 ounce. 360 if you order the blonde roast. 260 mg if you order the dark roast. So you see, caffeine content is affected by the type of coffee you use and also the brewing method and the roasting method as well. So not all coffee contain the same amount of caffeine. Also, Coke contain 34 mg of caffeine in a can. Black tea in 2 cups of black tea, about 100 mg. Green tea, 56 mg. So again, listen to your body is the most important. So this is just a guideline for you to use as reference. Number 5, last but not least, excessive alcohol consumption can deflate your mood. Scientific evidence pointing to a relationship between negative moods and excessive alcohol consumption. Alcohol also dehydrates you, and dehydration itself can also deflate your mood. And how much alcohol is too much? I have here low-risk alcohol drinking guidelines here. 1 drink, if you look at the table on the right, contain, because different types of alcohol beverages contain different percentage of alcohol. That's why the 1 drink of that beverage is different for different types of alcohol. For beer, 12 ounce is 1 drink. Cider or cooler, 12 ounce is 1 drink. Wine, 5 ounce is 1 drink. And for distilled alcohol, 1.5 ounce is 1 drink. And the guideline says no more than 10 drinks a week for women, with no more than 2 drinks a day for most days. No more than 15 drinks a week for men, and with no more than 30 drinks a day for most days, and not drinking on some days each week. So this is the guideline. If you do drink alcohol, you can check the guideline and see if you're drinking too much of it or if you're okay. Okay, so now we have looked at the what and when to eat. We've talked about we need to eat balanced meals in appropriate intervals. That's the when. And now we are going to look at how to eat. And mindful eating summarizes how we should eat. So many of you may be familiar with the term mindfulness. It's a technique to help you be fully present, aware of where we are and what we are doing with an open mind. So mindful eating uses the same technique, mindfulness, to reach a state of full attention to your eating experience. So why do we need to do this? The goal is to help you improve your eating habits, manage food cravings and weight, and also increase awareness of how your relationship with food can affect your mood. So sounds quite complicated, but what does that mean? I have some tips here. Number 1, take away distractions during eating. For example, you need to turn off the TV, put down your phone, and a lot of you may be working from home during the pandemic. So it's important to not sit in front of the computer while you eat. You want to set aside some silent time for you to eat your meals, because that can increase satisfaction if we are fully present and pay our full attention to eating. Number 2, tell the difference between true physical hunger and other triggers of eating. So before you eat, every single time before you eat, I would like you to ask yourself a question. The question is, why am I eating now? Then you may need to think and feel why you're eating. If the answer is physical hunger, then that's good. You really need to eat. But if not, maybe you feel stressed, maybe you feel lonely, or maybe you feel bored, and then you try to get to find something to eat. So if that's the case, if it's not because you are physically hungry, you may want to think about other ways to deal with these emotions. For example, you can go for a walk, you may want to call a friend and chat, or you may want to read a book or take a hot bath, for example, to deal with these emotions instead of using eating to deal with these emotional needs. Then number 3, eat more slowly and chew thoroughly. The reason why we want to eat slowly is because your brain takes 20 minutes from the time you begin eating to the brain sending out a signal for fullness. So if we eat too quickly, then let's say you finish your meal in like 5 minutes, right? It's very possible that you eat more than what you need because your brain doesn't have enough time for it to send you the signal. So make sure you eat slowly and chew thoroughly. Number 4, eat only until you're full. We want to pay attention to our physical hunger cues all the time during eating. Whenever you feel full, you want to stop eating instead of cleaning the plate or finishing everything on the table. And I know that a lot of people are afraid of wasting food, right? So they don't want to waste food. So to minimize food wastage, I have some tips for you. Plan your menu carefully. Try to purchase and cook the amount that you need, only the amount you need. Carefully store your leftovers so it won't go bad before you have a chance to eat it. Store 1 meal worth of cooked dishes like soups and stews and keep it in the freezer. And then you can thaw it and reheat it maybe the week after or the month after. So whenever you cook extra batch of food, store it in the freezer and then you can eat it later on. So number 5, engage your senses about colors, aromas, sounds, and textures and flavors. So what does that mean? So let's say I have a bowl of food here, and before I eat it, I want to use my senses to look at the color, the texture, the shape, and size of the food. And then I will spoon it. Before I put it in my mouth, I want to feel it and sense the aroma. Smell it. And then the next step is to put it in your mouth. But before you chew it, you want to feel the texture and move it around your mouth and feel the texture and taste. So then you chew it. When you chew it, you want to focus on the flavor, the sound it makes, and the movement of your mouth. Then you'll be able to swallow. You can feel the food going from your throat, down your esophagus, and then ultimately to your stomach. So with these senses, if we engage our senses in our eating experience, we will get higher satisfaction and we don't need as much food. Okay, number 6, notice your relationship toward food. Notice the negative feelings around food. For example, some people may have certain health condition, whether it be diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, gout. No matter what your condition is, some people may associate foods as good or bad. So this is not something we want to do, is associating food as good or bad. Because whenever they eat certain foods that consider as bad, they may have negative feelings, like feeling guilty or anxious after eating certain foods. So in most cases, we can welcome all foods in moderation. So instead of associating food as good or bad, we want to try to associate food as everyday food and sometimes food. So this way, moderation is the key. You want to try to think about the amount you're having at each time and the frequency, how often you're eating that food, instead of trying to totally eliminating and avoiding certain foods. And do not allow food to control your life. Okay, so with mindful eating, so these are the tips. And today we have a guided mindful eating exercise. And I know that many of you have prepared a simple food item. It can be crackers, it can be chocolate, fruit, any simple food item will work in this exercise. And I would like you to take out the simple food item now and have it handy beside you. We will start this exercise now. So you just follow what I say, and we'll do this exercise together now. So first, I would like you to feel very comfortable sitting down. Begin by feeling your breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, tune into your awareness. I would like you to feel everything very slowly. How do you feel now? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Are you feeling full? Now, bring your attention to the food item in front of you. To connect more deeply to your food, imagine you are seeing it for the first time. Use all your 5 senses. What is the color? What is the texture? What is the shape? And what is the size? Now, pause and consider all of the people involved in the food item that has arrived in your hand. Those who planted and harvested the ingredients, to those who stocked the shelves. Think about what it took for this item to get to you. Sunshine, water, time, efforts from the farmers and workers, processing and shipping. Be grateful to nature and everyone involved in the cultivation and preparation of this food item. Now, pick up the food item and feel the texture and temperature between your fingers. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Or is it sticky? Continue to feel your breath. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now, smell the food. What is the smell? Do you enjoy the aroma? Then, place the food into your mouth without chewing or swallowing it. Roll it around your mouth and tongue. Notice the flavor and texture Is it sweet, salty, sour, spicy, or bitter? Is it hard, soft, or crispy? Is there a combination of flavors and textures? Then, very slowly, begin to chew the food. Notice the sound it makes and the movement of different parts of your mouth. When you're ready, swallow the food. And notice the sensation of food item passing through your throat, your esophagus, and finally, your stomach. So that's the process of our mindful eating exercise. Now, practice makes perfect. I would like to give you another minute to repeat what we have just gone through all by yourself. Okay, so that's the mindful eating exercise. And I hope you will practice this at home whenever you eat. So with practice, that can improve our satisfaction through eating. All right, let's go on. And today I have a cooking demo video to show you fruit and nut smoothie.
Now I'm going to show you how to make a yummy smoothie. This smoothie can be enjoyed as breakfast or to complement a light lunch or as afternoon snack or by itself. So you just need a few simple ingredients. First, you need frozen berries. Today I'm using frozen strawberries and frozen blueberries. You don't have to use strawberries and blueberries. You can use any other kinds of fruits that you enjoy, like mangoes, pineapple, honeydew melon, banana, and any kind of fruits that you like. And I need 1 cup of this. Strawberry provides a lot of fiber, minerals, as well as vitamins. It also contains the strawberry and blueberries, also raspberries and blackberries. They all contain a special phytochemical that can help boost our mood. I'm going to add some blueberries. So you can use any combination of fruits that you like. Then I have milk here. This is kefir. It's a kind of fermented milk. It contains a lot of probiotics. And I need 1 cup of this. And before I pour the kefir out from the bottle, I need to shake it because it may separate into 2 layers. Need 1 cup of it. So the probiotics in kefir can also help. It may help boost our mood as well. Then is nut butter. You can use any kind of nut butter, like almond butter, peanut butter, and today I'm using hazelnut butter. When you choose nut butter, I like to choose 100% nuts. without added hydrogenated fat, which is not good for our health, as well as some sugar or salt, which are not necessary. And I need 1 tablespoon. Nut butter can add some protein as well as some healthy fats to our smoothie. So the protein from the nut butter can help us slow down digestion and also help us to absorb the sugar from the fruits as well as the milk more slowly. And last but not least, a piece of dates. And you don't have to use dates. This is optional. So if you're using some sweeter kinds of fruits like mango or pineapple, you may not need to add the dates. The date only add some extra sweetness to the smoothie, as well as some fiber. And I need to cut it open to take out the pits. So now we're ready to make the smoothie. Here's my blender. I'm going to add the kefir. You can use any kind of milk that you have at home, any kind of milk that you like. You can use soy milk, like any nut milk, like almond milk, regular milk, cow's milk. I've also added the nut butter to it and the dates. So any milk will work in this recipe. Okay, so it's ready now. So my glass right here is quite large. It is 16 ounce. So it has like 2 cups in here. So everybody will decide how much you need and adjust the portion size. Okay. And it's done. Let me try it. I can taste a lot of the fruit as well as the nuts, and not too sweet. Very yummy. Enjoy.
Okay, so that's the cooking demo. I hope that you enjoy that. And I'm going to go through the recipe one more time. So what I put into the smoothie is a cup of frozen fruit. And you don't have to buy ready-made frozen fruit from the supermarket. You can make your own. So for example, if you have honeydew melon or you have mangoes or whatever fruits that you have extra, you can freeze it. So you just wash it, prepare it, peel it, for example, mangoes, and then you cut it into chunks and then you put it in the freezer. So it's very easy to make your own frozen fruit. Then the second ingredient is nut butter. Any nut butter will work. And also, if you don't use nut butter, if you still want to add protein to your smoothie, you can consider tahini, which is sesame seed paste, or you can use protein powder. So these are the things you can add to your smoothie to add some protein. And then in the video, I used kefir. The kind of kefir that I had is plain kefir, which means there's no added sugar. So if you buy flavored ones, so let's say strawberry kefir or mango kefir, usually a lot of sugar has been added to the product. So I prefer using unsweetened milk, like soy milk, almond milk, or regular milk, because there's no added sugar to it. And I can adjust the sweetness by adding the dates. The date, again, is optional. So depending on the sweetness of your fruit and also your taste, you can adjust whether you want to add the date or not. So that's the fruit and nut smoothie demonstration. And now we are going to look closer at how foods affect our mood and different types of mood boosting foods. How do foods affect our mood? Certain nutrients in food can affect our mood by modifying the production or release of chemical messengers, and I call them happy hormones. So what are the nutrients exactly? These are the 4 categories of nutrients that can help boost our mood. Omega-3 fatty acids, minerals like iron, magnesium, potassium, selenium, and zinc, vitamins such as folate, vitamin A, B1, B6, B12, and C, and phytonutrients. These are plant chemicals, a natural substance in plants which has various health benefits. Okay. So before I go into different types of food that can help our mood, I would like you to answer poll question number 3. Which of the following seafood contains the highest amount of omega-3 fatty acid? A, mackerel, B, salmon, C, sardine, and D, oyster. Please enter your answer.
Great. So we have 8% say mackerel, 92% say salmon, and 0 to sardine and oyster.
Oh, great. So the answer is salmon. So most of the people get it right. Salmon contain the highest amount of omega-3 out of the 4 here. But all of these 4 actually contain quite a bit of omega-3 fatty acids. Very good. So high omega-3 fatty acid fish and seafood. We want to aim to eat fish at least 2 times per week, because studies found that people who consume most fish were less likely to have depressive symptoms. So what kind of fish is high in omega-3? Not all the fish is high in omega-3. So these are some examples of high omega-3 fatty acid fish and seafood. Salmon, sardine or herring, mackerel, Alaska pollock, rainbow trout, oyster, crab, smelt. So these are some of the examples of high omega-3 fatty acids. And these can be easily purchased in Canada, in Toronto. Okay, so my tip for you during the pandemic is stock up on canned salmon or sardines, especially when they are on sale. So canned salmon, I have a canned salmon in here, a can of salmon. So with sardines and salmon, if they are in a can, you get added benefits of eating the bones as well. So you get to increase your calcium consumption because you're eating the bones as well. So whenever you're running out of omega-3 protein source, you have canned salmon or canned sardine ready at home if you stock them up. Foods high in tryptophan, which is a type of protein. Studies found that low levels of tryptophan could contribute to anxiety. So what kind of food is high in tryptophan? Lean chicken and turkey, lean beef, lean pork, firm tofu, salmon, soybean or edamame, milk, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, and eggs. So these are the food high in tryptophan. And tryptophan in our body can convert it into happy hormones. So that's why we really need to consume protein foods at every single meal. So I have some tips for you, especially during the pandemic. We want to minimize the number of grocery shopping trips, right? So protein foods like packaged tofu, eggs in shell, can usually be kept for a long time in the fridge, about 3 weeks. And dry beans and lentils is also very economical, and it can be kept in the pantry for 2 to 3 years. So stock up on these when they're on sale. Foods with probiotics. Probiotics may boost mood and lower stress and anxiety. What is it? What is probiotics? It's actually friendly bacteria in your body that can produce and express happy hormones in the gut. Examples of food rich in probiotics include the following: yogurt, kefir. This is what I use in the cooking demo of the smoothie. Raw sauerkraut, raw Korean kimchi. So the reason why I say raw is because probiotics is bacteria, right? And the high heat in pasteurization, the heat treatment, can actually kill the bacteria so they cannot be treated with heat. So that's why raw is important. Miso. Miso contains probiotics, and when you cook any dish containing miso, you want to bear in mind that high heat can also kill the bacteria, the good bacteria. So when you, for example, cook miso soup at home, you want to cook the soup with other ingredients first. So when you want to boil like the tofu and the seaweed, whatever you want to add to the miso soup, you want to cook first. And then you want to let it stand at room temperature for a little bit until it is not piping hot. Then you add the miso at the end to preserve the benefits that you can get from the good bacteria, the probiotics, the miso. Okay. Foods rich in prebiotics. Prebiotics are specific types of fiber that serve as food for the probiotics. So what kind of food contain prebiotics? The special types of fiber: dandelion greens, asparagus, garlic, onions and leeks, bananas and apples, barley and oats, wheat bran, flaxseed, cocoa, seaweed, Jerusalem artichokes, burdock root, jicama root, konjac root. Some of you may not be familiar with the last few items, the different types of roots, right? The artichokes and the roots. And then I have another slide to show you. Here are some dishes that is made from the last few ingredients that is high in prebiotics. So the first one, roasted Jerusalem artichokes. So Jerusalem artichokes is a root vegetable, and you can just treat it like potatoes. So you can just roast it like how you cook potatoes. Jicama can be made into a salad. It's crunchy and sweet. It's very tasty. You can just cut it up into strips and then make it into a salad. Braised burdock root and roasted burdock root. So burdock root can be just lightly peeled and then cut into either strips. You braise it, so you cook it with some water for 15 minutes on the stove. This one is a Japanese appetizer. So they have added a bit of soy sauce, a bit of sugar, as well as some mirin, so the sweet rice wine, and some sesame seed. So this is a very common Japanese appetizer. Roasted burdock root, so you roast it like potatoes. And then on the right side, there is a Japanese hot pot called sukiyaki. Here you can see some ingredient, like at the right-hand side at the back, some noodle-looking thing, which is konjac noodles. It's made from konjac root, so it contains prebiotics as well. And the konjac knot that you can see underneath it also is a very common ingredient for Chinese hot pots. Okay, whole grains. Studies have shown that diets high in fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, and whole grains can help reduce mood swings, anxiety, and depression. So what is a whole grain? On the right side, I have a diagram there, a picture. The outer layer, the brown part, is called the bran. And the inside yellow part is called endosperm. White flour, for example, or white rice, is the endosperm. And then the orange part is called the germ. And the majority of the nutrients found in a piece of grain is from the bran and the germ. So white flour made from the endosperm actually contain very few nutrients. The energy and mood boosting nutrients here include B vitamins, zinc, iron, magnesium, tryptophan, and phytochemicals that act as antioxidant. I have some examples of whole grains here: quinoa, buckwheat, amaranth, sorghum, oats, millet, and whole grain products like whole grain bread and whole grain pasta made from whole grain flour. So I have some tips for you. Whole grains can be cooked and kept in the fridge for 3 days. So you can cook a bigger batch at once, and then to save time, you can eat it for 3 days. You can also, if you're not sure whether you like a certain type of whole grain or not, you can purchase small amounts in bulk food stores and to give them a try before you commit to a larger package. And for whole grains, we want to aim at substituting the refined grains that you're currently eating right now with whole grains. Refined grains include white rice, white pasta, white noodles, anything made from white flour. And here are some ideas. For example, if you make pancakes, how about trying to make some buckwheat pancakes with whole grain buckwheat flour? If you're making pasta salad, how about trying to substitute the white pasta with whole grain pasta or any kind of whole grain that I just mentioned, like quinoa or buckwheat or sorghum. And if you're making a casserole, like a pasta casserole, substitute the pasta with any type of whole grains. Even Vietnamese rice roll can be, you can add the whole grains to it. Here, quinoa is added to replace the rice vermicelli. And if you're making fried rice, for example, instead of the rice, you can use any type of whole grain. So same as frying rice. You cook the rice first and then you fry it, right? And then for whole grains, same. You want to cook the grain first and then you fry them later. You can replace half the rice or you can replace all of the rice. It's depending what you like. And then instead of popcorn, how about popped sorghum? It will contain more nutrients than the popcorn. And for making any kind of soup, you can add the whole grains. If they are smaller in size, then you can add the whole grain to towards the last maybe 15 to 20 minutes of cooking your soup. Vegetables and fruits. Research shows that eating more fruits and vegetables in general is linked to happier mood. So we want to aim for all colors of the rainbow because we want to get a variety of nutrients and phytochemical for different health benefits. So I have some tips for you during the pandemic because we want to minimize the number of grocery shopping trips and we want to consume enough vegetables. Then what can we do? We want to consume vegetables in the following order to minimize the grocery shopping trips. Leafy greens, because they spoil the fastest. Then broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, carrots, celery, cabbage, and then at the end, frozen vegetables. So these are based on my own experience. And I'm sure you have different experience or you include different types of vegetables. So take a note of how vegetables, the rate of how they spoil. Then you have your own list and then you follow that list and then make sure you have enough vegetables for the whole week. And another time-saving tips is to prepare vegetables ahead of time. So what I have tried to do is to wash them and cut them and then spin dry them in salad spinner. And then I store them in bags or container with a dry paper towel inside the bag. Then that way, I found that the cut up vegetables and cut up vegetables can be kept fresh in the fridge for 3 days. So try it and see if you like that. Okay, leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables. Folate is a key nutrient found in vegetables, and low folate level have been consistently associated with depression in research. So because it may impair the metabolism of certain happy hormones. So therefore, eating vegetables is very important in regulating our mood. Cruciferous vegetable. This can be called a super vegetable. Cruciferous are famous for its anti-cancer properties. And also it can help boost our mood because of certain phytochemicals it contains. Some studies show that a correlation between consuming cruciferous vegetable with a reduction in depression. What is cruciferous vegetable? What type of vegetables is in this family? Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, kale, Chinese broccoli, and watercress. So these vegetables belong to the cruciferous family. Whenever you're not sure what vegetables to buy in the supermarket, buy cruciferous. So after talking about different types of food that can help boost our mood, I'm going to talk about some spices that can help us boost our mood as well. Ginger and turmeric. Ginger in animal study have indicated it can influence happy hormone levels and may treat and reduce anxiety. So think about how to add some ginger whenever you cook. Turmeric with black pepper. Curcumin is an active ingredient in turmeric, and it has been linked to treating anxiety and depression. And whenever you cook with turmeric, make sure you add some black pepper to it, because the black pepper can increase the absorption of the active ingredient, and you can maximize its benefits if you add the black pepper as well. My tips for you: flavor your foods with herbs and spices to reduce the need for adding high sodium seasoning like salt or any type of sauces and soy sauce, for example. For the kind of herbs and spices that you're not sure or you won't use a lot or too frequently, consider buying them from bulk food stores so you can buy a tiny amount so you don't need to waste a whole bag of herbs and spice. Chocolate, dessert. So eating chocolate may help improve our mood making you feel calmer and more content. So because it stimulates the production of happy hormones in your body. So when we choose chocolate, we want to choose dark chocolate with 70% cacao or higher. So the higher percentage of cacao, the greater the health benefits. And remember, moderation is the key. And chocolate is a source of calories, sugar, as well as fat. So make sure you keep it to a small portion. 30 grams or 1 ounce each time is sufficient to get the health benefits. Last but not least, drink enough water. Many studies show that even mild dehydration can impair our mood. Our bodies are made up of 60% of water. So what are the signs that you're not getting enough water? Thirst, dry lips, dry mouth, flushed skin, headache, dizziness, fainting, dark, yellow, strong smelling urine, low blood pressure, and increased heart rate. So these are the signs that you may not get enough water. For the sign thirst, many people who are older may not have a strong sensation of thirst. So instead of waiting until you're thirsty to drink water, make sure you drink water regularly throughout the day to prevent dehydration. So how much water is enough? So Dietitians of Canada actually has a guideline for drinking water. So when I check the guideline, women, 19 and older, 9 cups. 1 cup equals 250 ml. A measuring cup, fill it up to the 1 cup line is 1 cup. For men, 19 and older, 12 cups. Keep in mind that your total fluid intake can include water, as well as milk, coffee, tea, and juice. So it's all included in there. So you may also need more water if you exercise or if the weather is hot. So this is just a basic guideline. You may need more if you exercise or if it's hot. Now, I would like you to think about how much fluids you are drinking each day. And then compare it to the recommendation in the guideline. Okay, for example, if you are currently drinking 5 cups a day, and the guideline says 9 cups, right, for women, you need 4 more cups to meet the goal. So what do? So I have some tips for you to drink more water. Number 1, set a daily goal. If you're drinking 5 cups and the guideline says 9 cups, you don't want to set the goal to be 9 cups right away. Maybe you will consider drinking how to drink 1 more cup this week. So 6 cups this week. If you can do that, 7 cups the following week, and do it gradually. So this way you have more chance of success. And secondly, keep a reusable bottle with you. So usually a water bottle can hold more than 1 glass, right, at a time, 2 to 3 glasses in a bottle. So you're more likely, because you're keeping that with you, you're more likely to drink more water. And if you dislike plain water, flavor your water, like consider making herbal teas or infused water. What is infused water? I have some recipe for you to consider. So you see from the picture, there are some glass jars and there are some cut up vegetables or herbs in that. So how you make it is very simple. You slice up the fruits or herb or vegetables, and then you put fresh water in the jar. And then you close the lid and let it stand in the fridge for 3 to 12 hours and let it infuse. Make sure you put it in the fridge because you cannot keep cut up fruit at room temperature for a long time. So some suggestion for you. So you can use any combination that you like. And these are just suggestions. Sliced strawberries, basil leaves, sliced lemon. The second recipe is cubed honeydew melon, cucumber, and mint leaves. Number 3, blackberries, orange, and ginger. Number 4, cubed watermelon, sliced kiwi, and sliced lime. So these are just some combination suggestions, and you can use whatever you like. So now I have another cooking demo video, and this time I'm making a quinoa bowl.
I'm going to show you how to make a delicious quinoa bowl. So the first thing we need is to cook the salmon. Or today I have rainbow trout here. So I have the raw fish right here. Before I put on the seasoning, I'll put some oil on top. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to brush it. Before I add the oil, I actually have used a piece of paper towel to pat dry the fish so that it will grill nicely. And I'm going to add some salt. Some garlic. I'm using dry garlic here, and if you have fresh, you can use fresh. Some chives here. And I'm going to add some pepper. Would you please pass me the pepper? So the rainbow trout right here is actually one of the kind of fish that contain a lot of omega-3 fatty acid, which can help boost our mood. And also the garlic and chives also is a source of prebiotics, which also serve as food for the good bacteria in the gut, in our gut. Okay, now I'm going to pass this to my assistant, and it will go into the oven, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I usually cook it for 5 to 6 minutes, depending on the thickness. Okay, so now we need to prepare the quinoa. So I have half a cup of quinoa right here. The kind that I use is pre-washed. That means I don't need to wash it. But if you purchase a kind that is not pre-washed, you can use a sieve, and then you put the quinoa inside the sieve, and then you run it under running water, tap water, to clean it before you cook it. So half a cup of quinoa right here. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of water. I'm going to mix it so that the quinoa, it's touching the water. So this will go onto the stove, cover, and you want to increase the heat so that it will bring it to the boil for 1 to 2 minutes, and then you turn off the heat with the lid on, and then you just let it stand for 15 minutes, and it will be perfectly cooked. And some cooked ones here. So perfectly cooked quinoa right here. So now we will prepare our ingredients. We have apples right here. I'm going to slice the apple. Sesame is a very nutritious fruit. It contains a lot of minerals, vitamins, as well as fiber. And the special fiber in apples is a source of prebiotics, healthy. So it's the food for the healthy bacteria in the gut. So that's why I choose apple for today's recipe. Okay, so I'll put the apples aside. And I also have some Korean kimchi right here. Because I want it to be in smaller pieces, I will use a pair of scissors to chop it up. So this is ready. They're in smaller pieces right now. Now I'm going to make a dressing for today's dish. So what I need today for the dressing is extra virgin olive oil, balsamic vinegar, as well as soy sauce. 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. So extra virgin olive oil is actually cold pressed. That means it is not refined, and it preserves all the antioxidant from the olives, and it's very healthy for our heart. Then I have soy sauce. I need 1 teaspoon. I also need balsamic vinegar, 2 teaspoons. Also some more garlic. I'm using dry today, and if you have fresh garlic at home, you can use fresh. So now you can see the sauce, it's separated, right? The oil and the vinegar, and now I'm gonna whisk it. Make it into a pesto. And once you see it's well combined, and it's ready. Save half of the dressing for later use. I'm going to save half of it for drizzling on top. So the other half, I'll save it in the bowl. And the cooked quinoa is right here. I'm going to add the quinoa into the dressing. To give the quinoa a bit of taste. So now I'm going to mix the quinoa with the dressing. this dish can be enjoyed either warm, at room temperature, or even cold, like a salad. Okay, it's well mixed now. So now I'm going to put it into the bowl. Oh, I want to also show you the asparagus. So the asparagus I have already prepared. So this is when the asparagus is raw, right? Uncut. So what you do is you wash it and then you just do this to get rid of the top part of the asparagus. Or you can peel the bottom part of the asparagus like this to get rid of the top part. So you either snap it and discard the end, or you peel the bottom part. Okay. And then after you've done this, you can use a knife to cut it into maybe an inch and a half in length. And what I have done here with the asparagus is I've blanched it in hot, like boiling water for about 20 seconds, and it'll become, make it softer. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble the quinoa bowl. I'm going to put the quinoa at the bottom. And then on one side, I'm going to add the apples. Then the asparagus. And zoom into see more clearly. So the asparagus. Asparagus is actually a source for prebiotics. So that's why I chose asparagus for today. Also, it can be kept for quite a long time. It can be kept in the fridge if it was fresh when you buy it. Then you can keep the asparagus in the fridge for at least a week. Okay, and then we have the kimchi. I'm going to put the kimchi on the side. Kimchi is also a source for probiotics. Remember, we saved half of the sauce, and then I'm going to drizzle it on top. I have today some pumpkin seed as well as some sesame seed right here. I'm going to sprinkle them on top. sesame seed. Then this quinoa bowl is done. So as you can see here, the quinoa bowl can be enjoyed as lunch or dinner. It is an example of a balanced meal because I have combined foods with lots of fiber, which include the apples, the asparagus, and also lean protein, the fish, as well as some whole grains. So here is the cooking demo. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay. So that's the quinoa bowl, and I'm going to go through the ingredients one more time. So in the cooking demo, I used half a cup of quinoa. You don't have to use quinoa. You can choose other whole grains, any other whole grains that you like for this dish. For extra virgin olive oil, it's the least processed oil. It contains a lot of phytochemicals. And then I have apples, which contain a lot of prebiotics in addition to the vitamins, the minerals, and fiber. And you can also choose any type of fruit that you like for this dish. And for protein of choice, instead of using fish, you can use other protein source. Fried egg, pan-fried tofu, black beans, canned salmon, grilled salmon, or canned sardines will work nicely in the recipe. And for topping, other than sesame seed or pumpkin seed, you can use maybe avocado or some seaweed if you have it at home. So that's the recipe, and I hope that you enjoyed today's workshop.
Thank you so much, Connie. It's looks so yummy. Okay, so well, thank you so much for all of you that stay until the end, and please